I'd like for you now to meet Vidya Raman. She is a speaker and coach with remarkable 25 years as a career in Fortune 100 companies. As an experienced senior leader, Vidya brings her unique expertise to her speaking engagements. She weaves real-world experiences into inspiring narratives. Not just a speaker and coach, Vidya is also a best-selling author. Her book, Lucky You, An Insider's Guide to Achieving Success and Finding Fulfillment in the Corporate World, achieved the number one new release and best-selling status on Amazon soon after its release. Join me in welcoming Vidya Raman as she delves into the importance of observing humans, a must-have for a better workday. Welcome, Vidya Raman.
Thank you. Most of you would agree that active listening and observation skills are essential for the workplace. But sometimes I wonder, do we truly, deeply appreciate the fact that knowing observation, having stronger observation skills, can eradicate the pain, I'm not exaggerating, of lost opportunities, misunderstandings, and ongoing conflicts? Maybe I was exaggerating a little bit, but listen, observation skills is so much more than not interrupting somebody in a conversation, nodding your head. It's a superpower. Consider this. You are in customer service. You have a call from this very annoyed customer. You have been jumping through hoops, and now you think, I have the best explanation for this customer. You just don't have an annoyed customer anymore. You have an irate one. What went wrong? Now, think you're a corporate employee. You are in a conference room with senior leaders. You're sitting with your peer group. You are talking about a project success. You are sure you acknowledged your teammate. Right after the meeting, you get a cold shoulder. You're frozen out. That teammate has made a decision never to partner with you again. What went wrong? Third scenario. Your boss has just invited you to a meeting with his seniors. You are excited. You are ready to impress. You're sitting there. You are well prepared. As you respond in this meeting, you're thinking, I am nailing it. I'm impressing these people. And the very next day, your usually friendly boss is avoiding you. What happened there? Did you miss the cardinal rule of never outshine the boss? Right? So think about these. How did these individuals fall into this very destructive minefield when all they wanted was to be constructive? It's not just them, right? It's almost all of us at some point or the other. Did you know this horrible, terrible statistic that when we are supposedly listening to people, we are not listening. We are preoccupied with our own thoughts. That 70% of the time, we are not listening. Within an hour, we only recall 20% of what's happened. This is a terrible statistic. Pair this statistic with something even more important. Peter Drucker, the whole management guru, said this: the most important thing in communication is hearing what's not being said. Wow. With that terrible statistic of only listening, not listening for 70% and missing out on the most important part of communication, not hearing what's not said, I think we are all probably failing in the most important part of communication. Did you know there is a silent symphony happening right behind for you to see when a conversation is happening? Of course, I'm talking about nonverbal cues. It's about how are they reacting? What's their body language? What are they saying? And I'll tell you why I need to address this so much, because yes, we listen, but why are we preoccupied? We're trying to impress people. So we're always thinking, when they start asking us questions or they're just sharing some information, we want to come back with a smart response, right? So we are preoccupied with that. We have our own internal agenda. But here is the thing. If we have our own internal agenda, what we miss is an off-the-cuff comment, a random comment that could clue you in on something. Let me share this story. I used to have a boss who was generally nice, but my pet peeve was he never, ever gave me feedback. And I was hungry for feedback. When I got to know him better, I realized, you know what? His key driver, his key motivation was to avoid conflict. Guess what? He didn't want to give me feedback. He thought, what if I get defensive and then we end up in a war? So he just stayed away from feedback. That's around the time I decided to pay closer attention. And I realized he was giving me feedback the whole time. But he was making random comments about other people and what he liked and did not like about them. That was feedback for me. And once I heard that, boy, was that illuminating. So how about you? Do you have that one annoying coworker, that hyper-competitive coworker who's always trying to trip you up? Don't write them off. Don't judge them. Bring them in. Here's your exercise. Spend at least 2 months getting to know them. Ask questions. Watch them in a conference room. Watch how they interact with other people. Scrutinize their emails. You will be surprised. Once you learn a few things about them, their key motivations, this person who was very competitive and wanted to throw you under the bus could become your new ally. Sounds like detective work, doesn't it? Some of you are thinking, hey, this is cool. I can be a detective. And some of you are thinking, too much work. Who has the time? You may be thinking, I'm not Sherlock Holmes. You know what? Neither am I. And neither is almost anybody here in the room. But I tell you, it doesn't take a whole lot. You are technically good. You may not give credit to yourself. Now, talk about body language. Here's another scenario for you. And if you answer this question, raise your hand when I ask you this question, and I'll call on you, and you may win something for that answer. So you are there talking to me, and I'm your coworker. You are a little annoyed about something I did. And after a minute or so, I do this. What does that say? Who wants to raise their hand? What does this gesture tell you when I crossed my hand? Anybody?
Are you defensive? You're closed off?
Yes, I am being defensive. I don't want to hear anymore. Typically, when you see that, and by the way, please stop by my desk and I'll give you a signed copy of my book. And because sometimes we don't know when to stop talking, and when somebody does that, if they're giving you a clue, roll back if you don't want to damage your relationship. Here's one more. Here is one more. This one is a little bit more complicated. Pay attention. You have walked into your boss's office. You closed the door behind you. You have come to him to complain about a coworker who is also his direct report. Your boss gives you that attention for 2 minutes and then starts glancing quickly at the door every few seconds. Why did he do that? After a little bit of attention, he keeps looking at the door. What should you infer from that conversation? Go ahead.
He's not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Out of the room.
Yes, he's showing you the exit. Time to leave. Okay, so this wasn't too difficult. Think of it, most of you here, I'm going to take a wild guess, you love people watching when you're on vacation. You love that, right? Foreign country, you love seeing the locals, how they interact. And sometimes when you go to a restaurant, come on, you're paying attention to the table next to you and you're saying, who's on a first date, who's been married a long time. We're good at this. But maybe sometimes at work it's a different dynamic. Let me explain that next as to why we suffer at work. And beyond that, I'm going to give you 3 tools and techniques at the end. But one is watching Netflix movie. Who wouldn't want to watch more Netflix movies? Thank you, everybody.